How we doing?
Good.
Good? Everybody in the Christmas spirit? Scott, you know, getting back. Really? Got all of our shopping done?
No, absolutely.
So it's pretty much standard for coaches that we don't get it done till last second, so that's where I'm trying to figure out what to do.
I'm hereditarily at December 24th.
Oh, that's the only time to do it. Why would you do it any other time? Either that or you tell them it's coming. I've done that one before as well. Time of week, or time of year, excuse me, where it gets to be very challenging for our student athletes with finals. And we take those very seriously. They've spent probably just as much time here in the last 10 days with academic support and our staff here in preparing for finals and writing papers. And we still have about got to run down. I think Mark Allsworth's the last one tonight. And so we're pretty sensitive to that. We've tried to show a lot of film since our game in Chicago against New Mexico State, which I felt was probably, well, it's not probably, it was the poorest half. The first half was the poorest half we played all year. I filled 4.5 pages of defensive notes of lapses and mistakes, and watched that film 5 times, and we've tried to show them a lot of those things since then. And that leads us into this game on Saturday. It's exciting. I coach basketball to be a part of games like this, and I hope we recruit athletes to be a part of games like this. I love rivalry games. I think they're exciting for the fans. I think they create the atmosphere. This is obviously one that has tremendous history, tremendous passion, has had great coaches, has had great players, has had great finishes. This rivalry has had everything that you could want and more. And then when you throw in that it's a group of fans on both sides who have totally bought into it, and it's the one thing I've heard about since I took the job. I've witnessed from afar, but I've been a part of enough rivalry games that I know what that's about. And these are games that become everything that college sport is about, no matter what the sport is. But rivalries are great for the game, in my opinion. So we get a very good Mizzou team. Conzo's done a great job. The influx of talent there has been very solid. They returned, very good player in Purrier. Obviously getting Jonte Porter to come out of high school early. He's a guy that's a pro. And Tillman, those 2 freshmen are both pros. So, and a 5th-year transfer in Cassius Robertson, who's their leading scorer. He's been tremendous. So they're a very good basketball team. I watched them at length against my old team, against Stephen F. Austin the other night. They shoot close to half their shots from the 3. They're a very good 3-point shooting team. They're going to take a lot of them, and yet you better account for them on the glass. They're +10 on the glass, and very typical of Conzo's team. Very good rebounding, very solid defensively, and yet this team's very capable of lighting it up from the 3, as they did against SFA the other night. I think they shot 55% from the field and 50% from the 3, and 85 or 86% from the free throw line. So, should be an exciting game. Looking forward to it.
How much of your stuff is SFA?
All of it.
Now? Oh, yeah. So
Defensively, they do some different things. They do some different things offensively.
So they got a little sneak peek of what they're going to run into Saturday.
Yeah, very much so.
We have the mics on both sides.
Okay. I think you said Saturday that it was difficult to get the guys to adjust to your defense from what they've been playing in the past.
No, I didn't say that. We've done it at times. We just didn't do it the other night. You know, a big part of, I have a saying that I've probably said somewhere up to 100,000 times this year so far. Quiet teams lose. And when you don't communicate on the court, mistakes happen. And the way we play, it's vital that you communicate, and mistakes happen when you don't do that. And for whatever reason the other night, that was part of what we didn't do, was talk and communicate. It led to, you know, it led to a lot of breakdowns. Ball reversals were paramount. They did whatever they wanted. I've always said this about really good players, and the Lofton kid we faced is a really good player. Good players can't score if they can't catch it. I don't care who they are. And yet this young man caught it wherever he wanted, whenever he wanted. We're up 5, he scores 4 straight buckets. And then he goes out with a cramp, and then their second best player, who was their point guard, scores the three of the next buckets. And we had a stretch where we were 8 of 10 from the offensively. And I think we were 3 or 4 deep in that, if I'm not mistaken. And they won a 9 for 10 run with us up 5. And you know, we've got to take some pride. And we didn't do those things Saturday in Chicago. We've done them at times and been very good at it.
Coach, back here in the back, Merry Christmas to you.
Thank you. Merry Christmas.
What have you been told about the bragging rights game? What's the hype around it?
Well, I don't think Illinois fans have a real love affair for Missouri fans. I think that's been one of the few things that I've been told. I think there's, I don't come at it from that side. I come at it from the basketball side and more as a bystander. I know I've always watched that game because I enjoy watching rivalries. I enjoy watching it. You know, you can always kind of count on it being right before Christmas and being on TV and good teams and you know, I have tremendous appreciation for that. But you know, as I've been through it, and you see some of the great plays and the great players, you truly grow to have an unbelievable appreciation for those games and those moments and everybody that's been a part of it.
You guys have played a lot of games. What does this practice time now do for you guys? Not only this week coming into this game, but you got a whole another week to prepare before next week's game.
Well, it was actually really nice to not focus on anybody but ourselves. You know, we've been able to clean a lot of things up, just so many little things, and that's been what's been the beauty of being able to show them a ton of film. Just how important spacing is, how we're shortcutting this, how communicating and talking allows us to not do this, and it seems like you're always moving forward with a one-day prep into another game, and with a young team, with an inexperienced team, those things are vital. Those are ways we can teach and emphasize it. We've done nothing but shoot a lot of balls and try to really clean up a lot of little things that we haven't done well. To say we've added something, we haven't. It's just a matter of us cleaning up. You know, our transition stuff the other night against New Mexico State, we've got big guys standing under the rim wide open, and we're not throwing them the ball. We can't get anything better than that. We smoked, and I use the term, missed 11 layups. Just because timing was off just a little bit. You can't miss those. You know, so now all of a sudden you're at 22 to 30 points a game that you're giving away, and yet you're getting layups. So those are little things we've just, you know, we've had to get back to and focus on, and it's been great to do that.
What's maybe been the players' response this week, maybe to the idea that they're hurting themselves in these games, and maybe the challenge you're giving them to step up and lead?
Well, you just said the key word, lead. And the leading is hard. And I watched last night, I was able to watch Wofford in North Carolina. And I've known Mike Young for a long, long time, dear, dear friend. And Wofford went in with, if I'm not mistaken, 8 or 9, maybe 10 freshmen and sophomores, and just beat the 5th-ranked team in the country on their court. And his quote after the game was relative to what I want. He said, he goes, we have a bunch of high-character kids who all they care about is winning and being the best teammate they can be. And that fits us. That's what I'm trying to preach to our team right now. It's got to be about nothing other than winning. You can't feel bad if you're not making shots. You can't feel bad if you make a mistake because you're letting your teammate down. And it's accountability and responsibility. And Tijon is trying like crazy, and yet it can't be selective. You know, leadership isn't selective. I mean, when somebody on the team that might be your best friend blows a ball screen coverage, you got to have the right to get on him if you're a leader. And we've got to get that. And so, you know, I think it's about winning. I don't talk about anything else. You guys find out I don't look at stat sheets. I couldn't even tell you where our guys are averaging. Something that's not important to me. It's about the way the game is played that's more important. So I think our guys are conscious of that. They know. I mean, but I think all 5 games we've been in the last minute with the lead or the ball or an opportunity. That may be off a little bit. So, but down 1 possession, I guess, in the last minute. And but it's all the little things. It's not one specific thing. It's a lot of little things, and it's accountability, and it's leadership, and it's playing to win. And I'm a firm believer in that, and that's what I'm trying to get everyone in that locker room to understand. And you're only as strong as your weakest link. And you get one guy out there that doesn't do his job, and he keeps making mistakes, then guess what? Our chain's not very strong.
Going back a couple of weeks, a big theme was installing the offense, and you're talking about, right now we're running pretty vanilla things. Have you been able to make progress just in installing a greater percentage of the offense?
No, we're still pretty, like I said, we got 11 layups the other night. We missed. We also made a few, and then in our transition stuff, we got guys wide open. We feel pretty good about where we're getting the shots from. Michael had a tough night the other night. Every one of Michael's shots he took one bad one out against the zone. They were all good looks. So there'll be a couple things go in, but we've stayed basically trying to clean up our foundation, our base things, and we've gotten away from some of those, and time just doesn't allow you to sometimes to hit all those things. So we've really spent a majority of our last few days trying to clean that stuff up.
Brad, getting back on the leadership topic for a minute, do you see any of the freshmen maybe wanting to step into that role as being a vocal leader on the team? And if so, who?
Well, Mark's going to be that guy. Mark's a guy that has a lot of leadership. Leadership's not easy because it's all the time. It's not when you choose to do it or when you feel right or you're in the game. And there's a certain level of confidence that you have to have when you do that. Mark's going to be that guy. I think in a lot of ways, Trent's got some of that charisma and that Trent's got unbelievable swagger. So I think that becomes pretty contagious. And yet, they're freshmen. They're still trying to figure out, gosh darn, they're trying to figure out, like, how hard was it to write a 15-page paper during finals week and prepare for basketball? And it's the first time they've gone through it. So, that's where the veterans' value becomes important. But I think we've got guys who are very, very capable. I think Devontae's a guy who can become that guy as well.
Coach, how much have you focused on those late game scenarios? Is that something that you can simulate? Is that difficult to do?
We do that just about every day, and we do it just about every pregame. You know, every shoot around. It's really hard to simulate getting open against a full court press and just stopping. It's really hard to, and I think we've tried to talk about it now, maybe more, so we've emphasized that. I think there's, you can't fear failure. And so if you make a mistake, you make a mistake. Like the other night, there was no doubt, there was one person who I was gonna have to shoot the ball, try to tie it. I was trying. And you'll see, we set the play we ran. I ran one guy out, Finky set a ball screen, which I figured they would switch flat, and Tripp was gonna shoot the ball. Because I thought he had enough swagger and enough confidence to make it. He missed that one. Guess what? He's gonna make it a whole bunch in his 4-year career. And we talk about those things, but you gotta come meet passes. You've gotta, you get on synergy and you look up where we rank and baseline out of bounds plays, they're poor average, very poor average, good, very good, and excellent. And we're very good. And yet we couldn't inbound the ball on a play that's worked all year for us. And yes, we have to get better at those. We can't fear that moment. We can't. It's time to, it's like I told them, freshmen aren't freshmen anymore. You played a semester of college basketball. That's why they'll get to talk to you. They're not freshmen anymore. Time to grow up. And everybody's going through it in the country, and we've been in, today will be our 53rd or 54th practice. Been through it enough, you should know by now, some of those things.
You mentioned Jeremiah Thomas briefly earlier. I mean, there was maybe a narrow window in the spring where you were able to get known a little bit, his games, maybe prepping for Saturday. What have you seen from him on the court for Pre-Mizzou?
Yeah, he's a pro. He's a pro. He reminds me a lot of, I was in the league when DeAndre Jordan came in at Texas A&M. And I don't know, maybe that's what I've seen. I haven't been around him every day. Elite runner, just tremendous length, hands, literally catches everything. You know, the NBA stuff, you have to do stuff that's elite to make it at that level, to be a pro in that league. He does that. He's an elite runner, he's an elite catcher, he's gonna be an elite shot blocker. You know, I don't know, he plays 17, 18 minutes a game. I think part of that is due to foul trouble. But, yeah, he's really good. He's really good, and you know, he's a talented, very, very talented kid.
Coach, continuing on Jeremiah, a guy that was an Illinois signee, a guy that you tried to keep. What do you remember about that process, and does that add to this rivalry anymore?
That doesn't bother me a bit. You know, I think like I wish nothing but the best for Jeremiah. I mean, that's a young man trying to reach and achieve his dreams and goals, and you know, if it was unique to us, it's not. It's a common thing that happens all the time in basketball today. I mean, with kids, you know, they feel more comfortable in a certain situation when change happens. I don't know what his process was. We were obviously, you know, excited about his possibilities, and he chose to go a different direction. And I say this a lot, I mean it. Winning is really, really hard. And you know, if he is not both feet in committed to helping Illinois win, then he needs to go someplace else. And that's, you know, so I mean, I haven't lost sleep over it, and he's a talented kid. But you know, I wish him nothing but the best, and I enjoyed my opportunity to sit down and visit with him. He was a nice young man, and won't be there very long. I mean, he's gonna be I don't think he'll be a guy that in the spring will have some decisions to make. They're pretty serious ones.
You say you don't look at stat sheets. What's the distinction between a stat sheet and being an analytics guy?
Well, I think I gain more information from our team numbers than I do our individual numbers. I look at the process more than I do the individual, stuff. Now, I say that, and there's times I do. I just had Derek pull, game segments, 5 game segments, and our wins and our losses, and let's start looking, since we've got a decent sample size, let's start looking and seeing what are the discrepancies, and where are we, and why are we? And that's my job, is to figure that stuff out. So to say I'm getting, points are easy. It's easy to look at and score points. I think we're averaging 80 a game. It's the other stuff. Let me find out why we're not hitting the free throw line as much. Let me find out why our assist to turnover ratio is discrepancy is why it is in wins and losses. Let me figure out why we're not offensive rebounding. That's why the stats become important to me. Analytics becomes about the team stuff and the process and the styles, and that's what I concentrate on more than the individual stuff.
With 2 new head coaches, Brad, at Missouri and Illinois, what does this game kind of set a tone recruiting-wise with so much talent in St. Louis?
It's like anything else. It's sure. I mean, I think it's their home game. They'll have a whole bunch of guys there that we're probably involved with. It'd be the same thing. But recruiting is cyclical. It's about want. It's about need. Every year, we may not need a point guard. They may need a point guard. So I don't put a whole lot of stock in that. The game itself, I'm more worried about the 14 or 15 guys that are wearing our jerseys that night, because it's the want and need of recruiting. Sure. And is there pride? Sure. We go to practice every day to try to win every game. So, but beyond the impact that it has on this group of coaches and the 14 guys that are playing in the uniforms for that night, I don't get too much beyond that.
Maybe just in terms of bragging rights in general, you said you kept an eye on the game through the years. Is there one that sticks out to you that you remember the most?
Oof. I don't know. That would be. I don't know if I look at them like trying to remember the best one. I remember the atmospheres. I remember the play. Rather than finishes or outcomes or. I remember the quality of the game, the quality of the coaches, the quality of the players. I don't look at them maybe from a fan standpoint. I just know forever probably. Great coaches, great players, great atmosphere, and both programs have tremendous basketball pride. And when you get that and you put that combination together, it was no different than Bedlam in Oklahoma or KU K-State or they're special moments. And to single out one memory, in my alma mater in KU K-State, you couldn't. But they're special because they're a rivalry, and that's what I love about college sport. Name it, the Iron Bowl, Ohio State, Michigan, you name it. Those games to me make the sport and make college football special. See you in St. Louis.